So have you ever wondered what your favourite character from the Harry Potter films would smell like? Today, because it's the run up to Halloween week, I'm going to be, just for a bit of fun, sort of like talking about the characters and what I personally think, what fragrances that they would wear that would describe their characters. So during the film, don't forget to like and subscribe, press the notification bell, and also give us a thumbs up because that always helps. So with a swish and a flick, let's get on with the video. So let's see what we've got in Hogwarts. The first one that I thought I would start with is Albus Dumbledore. And there's actually two fragrances for him. Now when I think of Dumbledore, and recently Timbo, myself, my granddaughter Gracie and her friend Poppy went to visit the Harry Potter studios and we saw the most amazing set. So we saw Dumbledore's office, which was filled with books, wood, leather, brass, all potion bottles and everything else like that. And of course his sherbet lemons. This brought to mind the first fragrance that I think he would wear is the Jamal 301. Now this is a creation by our friend, the lovely Mohammed Jamal. And I do know that when he was first creating this fragrance, he wanted it to be sophisticated. He wanted it to be elegant. He also wanted it to exude in the person wearing it a confidence while also being warm and personable. So this fragrance I chose for Dumbledore because it has orange oil, lemon, which is like a nod to his sherbet lemons, but it has those leather, woods, patchouli. It's got some of those lavender and wonderful, wonderful smoky notes to it as well. So I thought this would be just so much of something that I could envision him smelling of and wearing. So that was the Jamal 301. But I can imagine that a few of you aren't actually familiar with the Jamal fragrance. So one which is on a similar line to that is the Tabarone by Creed, because this also has those woods, the leather, the freshness, the tobacco, the bergamot in here, because this is the fragrance that was initially created for Winston Churchill. So these are like classically elegant. The Mo Jamal, the 301, has that twist and that real freshness, but when they settle on the skin, they are just amazingly sophisticated classic fragrances. So these are just two that I feel that I can imagine Dumbledore wearing, especially when he's sat in his office. Just beautiful, beautiful fragrances.
But you can't deny, Dumbledore's got style.
So let's see who's next in Hogwarts. Quite enjoy doing that. Oh, now this one is Ginny Weasley. So the inspiration for the Ginny Weasley fragrance comes from the Half-Blood Prince, when Harry Potter smelt the Amortensia, or the love potion developed by Professor Slughorn. And in that he could smell treacle tart, broomstick handles, and then there was a familiar fragrance, floral fragrance, which was from the Burrows, which, whether you know this or not, that's where the Weasleys live. And it was a fragrance that was attributed to Ginny Weasley, you know, his great love. So I found a fragrance which has pretty much all of that, and that is the Victor and Rolf Bon Bon, because this has a heart note of caramel, which is very much like that really rich treacle of the tarts. It also has woods on the base, and it has like really fresh fruity florals. So I can absolutely imagine that this would be something that Ginny would wear. Oh, it's just so, cheeky squirt, beautiful. It's sweet, it's quite quirky, but it's very, very pretty. And I think that it's also one of those that makes the ladies feel very confident where they're wearing it. And I can imagine that it's quite addictive. So if this is something that Harry could imagine that Ginny would be wearing, I think that's the fragrance for her, which is the Victor and Rolf Bon Bon. So who's next to hear you shout?
Who's next?
Ah, right. Let's have a quick look-see. Aha! So next we have our trusty person, Neville Longbottom.
Oh my god! I've killed Harry Potter!
He was the one that was into his herbology, and he was the one that suggested the gillyweed for Harry to be able to swim under the water in the thingy cup.
Tri-Wizard Cup.
Tri-Wizard Cup even. So anyway, so what I picked for Neville is the Ralph Lauren Polo Blue Eau de Parfum, because this is an aromatic, so it opens with C notes. It has bergamot on the top note as well, and then in the heart you've got things like basil, verbena, orris, and you also have clary sage, and in the base you have woodsy notes, you have vetiver and you have suede. So this is a really clean, fresh, really easy fragrance, but it has those wonderful aromatics that just go along with Neville and his herbology classes. Just really, really subtle, but quite warm as well, because he had a very warm personality. So this is the one that I can imagine that Neville would wear, and that is the Ralph Lauren Polo Blue Eau de Parfum. And next is possibly my granddaughter's favourite character. She has the Spectre Specs, she has the wand, she just loves Luna Lovegood. So as you'll probably know, Luna's quite quirky. She's a bit out there, to say the least. I know some of her quotes are, "You're just as sane as I am," which says a lot, Tim, doesn't it? And also, what was one of the other ones? It was always be yourself, because if you're not yourself, then who are you? So for her, because I think that she is sort of quite quirky, she has a head in the clouds, but she's also very bright, very reliable, I have picked the Ariana Grande Cloud, because this opens with beautiful fresh notes. It's got lavender, pear and bergamot, so slightly fruity. But then on the heart notes you have whipped cream, praline, you have, oh that's beautiful, really, really sweet. So you've got whipped cream, praline and coconut and vanilla, and then the base notes are musks and woods. But it's definitely not overpowering. It's just a really lovely, definitely a little bit quirky, sweet, out there fragrance, which in a nutshell, I just definitely think just screams Luna Lovegood, and that is the Ariana Grande Cloud. Oh, now on to the top three. So who can we have next? Well, for this one, I have two. I'm not going to show the second one first of all. But the first one is Aramis. So this is the fragrance that I associate with Ronald Weasley. And the reason that I've picked the Aramis first of all is because this is what I imagine that Ron's father, Mr. Weasley, wears. And I imagine that initially, because Ron throughout the series of films always had hand-me-downs or home-knit things, I could imagine that he wouldn't have a fragrance of his own initially. So what he probably did was stick a couple of squirts of his dad's favourite fragrance on.
Bloody hell.
So this one is very, again, classic traditional fragrance, openings with sort of like really fresh green grassy notes, but then has sort of like a really hard hit of leather, spices and patchouli. Definitely one that gets better over time. So I imagine young Ron would probably have used his dad's Aramis. But then I think as he got a bit older, this is what he would have had. He would have had the Invictus. And I chose the Invictus a little for the fragrance, but more for the shape of the bottle. Because there is a point where he looks in the mirror of Erised, which Tim has just turned around. It never, just didn't equate with me really, is desire spelt backwards. So when you look in this mirror, you're supposed to sort of like see your heart's desire. And he saw himself sort of like as the captain of the Quidditch team holding a trophy. So here is the trophy, and Invictus means invincible. So this opens with really fresh sea notes. You've got some spices, some wood and musks in there on the base. Again, really clean, really fresh. Definitely a fragrance that would have been for his age. You know, it wasn't something that would be really, really like for someone generally older, which is what I would have said for the Aramis. But this is definitely Ron's fragrance, if not for the scent, but definitely for the bottle. So at number 2, we come to the beautiful Hermione Granger, the cleverest witch, or one of the cleverest witches at Hogwarts. And for her, I've picked 2 fragrances, because again, when she was smelling the Amortensia, the essences that she could smell were mandarin, vetiver, cedar and vanilla. And these 2 fragrances, while not combining the whole shebang in one, do have the majority in each. So what I'm going to start with is the Delina, which as you can see is in a beautiful feminine lovely pink bottle. And this one has the vanilla, it has the vetiver and it has the cedar, but this one has more rose notes to it. And I think you'll all agree Hermione is definitely like a beautiful English rose, but she's sort of like steadfast, she's loyal, she's just all of those things. And this is just such a beautiful, not too heavy, just very subtle but warm. It's just a beautiful, beautiful fragrance. And I can imagine for our classic English rose that would be one that she would wear, which would be the Delina. On the other hand, because she loved the mandarin, going to another classic, we've got the Chanel Coco Mademoiselle. And this one has the mandarin in it, it has the cedar, has the vetiver. Again, it's got rose notes, but again, it's another really classic, elegant fragrance, especially for the sort of more mature, late teenager Hermione. I can imagine her wearing this. It's got a freshness to it. Oh, I just love this one. It's one of those that I actually forget how much I love it till I spray it. And I can definitely just imagine her wandering around, just this beautiful, subtle waft of just really, really pretty, feminine, elegant fragrances. But again, very strong. So yes, so that would be the Coco Mademoiselle for Hermione and also the Delina by Parfum de Marly. And finally, for the last, but probably the most important fragrance. And here it is. It is for Harry Potter, of course, and I have chosen Dolce & Gabbana, The One, because he was the one.
She's only interested in you because she thinks you're the chosen one.
But I am the chosen one.
I had thought sort of like 2 things about this actually, because it was The One, or because obviously of his lightning bolt scar sign, I was going to pick Bad Boy, but then I thought, you know what, he wasn't really a bad boy, so I've gone for The One. So again, this is a classic fragrance. It's wonderful. It opens with orange blossom. You've got spicy notes such as the coriander, cardamom in there. And then you've got amber, which is warm and personable. And you've got woods in there as well, so it's really beautiful fragrance. Again, very age appropriate for Harry because it's not one of the fragrances that would be really, really heavy on him. Again, it would become something of a skin scent, but it would be warm because his character was very warm but determined, very classic as well. And I think that's sort of like the sort of thing that I get from Harry Potter. So that's the fragrance that I've chosen for him, and that is the Dolce & Gabbana The One. So anyway, these are my thoughts on what the characters would wear. So what are yours? Maybe you have different ideas of fragrances that would be really just shout that character out. And while I was doing this, I was thinking I could go on and on and on with all the characters. As you notice that I've picked sort of like pretty much the goodies. If you'd like me to do some more on, say, like Voldemort and his followers even, then just leave a comment and we can always do a part B to this. But I just thought this would be a bit of fun. It's coming up to Halloween at the end of the week, and hence the witch's hat, although Tim sometimes thinks I fly in on my broom anyway, I'm sure. But yes, leave me a comment, let me know what your thoughts are, and hopefully I will see you again soon. So take care for now. Don't forget again to like and subscribe and ring the notification bell, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye for now.